Tori was pure joy. She was always happy, always smiling. I loved watching her learn new things. She was so rarely fussy, and that is part of why we knew something must be really wrong when she all of a sudden was not able to smile or talk or play. She was always so animated, always moving, and Krabbe stole all of that from her. It stole her voice, it stole her smile, it stole her big, beautiful eyes, and it ultimately stole her life.
Tori came along in July of 2014, beautiful, healthy.
She was meeting all of her milestones, and we could not wait for what was ahead. We thought that we had a wonderful story ahead of us, and we knew that we could handle whatever was going to come.
Everything was just perfect, everything was shaping up to have this magical story of raising a little girl.
She had just gotten a new headband in the mail, and I decided to take her picture, and she's kind of smiling, and it's just, her eyes are so big, and I'm so glad I took that picture, because the next day everything changed. All of a sudden she wasn't smiling, she wasn't talking, wasn't playing, she couldn't keep food down, she was crying all the time. And I thought, well, maybe it's just growing pains, or maybe she's trying to meet another milestone, using Dr. Google. Maybe because she's trying to reach another milestone, she's regressed in everything else. So I was trying to make sense of it, but in the meantime, it was honestly frustrating because I had to hold her all the time. I couldn't eat, I couldn't shower, I couldn't do anything because she just wanted to be held.
5 months into her perfect, happy, meeting milestones life, she just became a completely different baby. Deep down, Lesa and I didn't want to say it out loud, but we knew something was wrong. We just didn't know how wrong.
We went to the neurologist's office. You could tell by the look on her face that she did not want to say what was about to come out of her mouth. And so she walked in and she said, "It's Krabbe."
We'd never heard of it, didn't know what it was or anything like that. We just knew that our perfect baby was going to die.
So we obviously cried. We cried and we held Tori. And I remember pleading with her. I said, there's gotta be something we can do. It's 2015. What do you mean there's nothing we can do? And she told us then that if they had caught it at birth, they could have treated it. And in that moment, I knew that my new path had been set. I don't know which words were more devastating, honestly. Finding out your child is dying and is not gonna live to be 2, or finding out that they could have done something about it. But now it's too late.
Toward the end of Tori's life, things got a little scary as disease progressed, and we just, we're starting to make tough choices and make a plan, because we knew it was probably going to be soon that she wasn't going to be with us anymore.
This is not the kind of life that we wanted to give Tori, because we knew she knew that we were upset, we were crying all the time, and we didn't want to stress her out anymore. So we made a decisive choice to choose joy and life with her.
Tori's here. She deserves the absolute best life we could possibly give her. And so we created a bucket list just to do things that, every parent should do with their kids. Small things to extravagant things.
We ended up completing 50 different adventures, ranging from jumping in a mud puddle, which is something every little kid should get to do, to going to Disney World, thanks to a wonderful foundation that provides wishes for leukodystrophy infants.
As life went on, we got used to coping with this awful disease. We just, became more joyful, pulling the joy out of a terrible situation.
And we got to actually live with her, and it was beautiful. I have literally thousands of pictures of all of those adventures, but it gave us something to look forward to, and we actually were doing a bucket list thing right before she passed away. Brennan had the night shift that night because Tori didn't sleep ever, and My phone rang at 5 a.m. And I was, obviously confused because I was like, why is Brennan calling me? It's 5 a.m. And then I realized something must be wrong.
Her pulse oximeter started going off, which, tells us her heart rate and oxygen level, and her numbers just kept plummeting. I would try to suction her to get the gunk out, and eventually, the numbers just went to 0. And in the midst of all this, I'm trying to call Lesa on my phone.
So I ran downstairs and she was gone. My only prayer the entire time had been that we could all be together. And we weren't. My mom and dad were still here. They heard us crying, so they came upstairs, and my dad was holding Tori skin to skin while we called hospice, and we did everything that we were told to do ahead of time. And then she took a breath. She had been gone for about 15 minutes, and Brennan had a stethoscope. He verified it. But then she took a breath, and then she took another one, and then her eyes popped open, and we couldn't believe it.
She was gasping for air, and then lo and behold, her little eyes popped open. She started breathing. Her color came back, and I was like, oh my gosh. So we threw her oxygen cannula back on her and fired up the machine, and her numbers were as good as they've ever been.
So Brennan and I had called hospice. They came by. They said, we don't know what to tell you. She looks fine. She looks great. And so we just laid in bed because we were exhausted with her in the middle. And then about 9 o'clock that morning, her pulse ox started beeping again. And we told her it was okay. And it really was. Diagnosis day was the worst day of our lives. But the day that she died did bring us peace because she had suffered so much. And honestly, we had suffered. So knowing that that part of our journey was complete was peace.
This time we were all together. We were calm. She went peacefully. And 9:05 Easter morning, March 27th of 2016, Tori entered the gates of heaven.
On diagnosis day, when we had been told both that there was nothing we could do, but that if we had caught it at birth, we could have done something, that to me was the moment where I knew exactly what I was supposed to do with my life, and I knew this was always supposed to be my story.
Lesa mostly engaged in a 5-year battle with the Pennsylvania legislature to get this law passed so that every baby could be screened equally.
In Pennsylvania, hospitals were not all screening for the same things. One of the most used phrases in the rare disease world is death by zip code, because your zip code matters if you have a rare disease, whether you're going to receive the best treatment, diagnosis, all of those things. But in Pennsylvania, it was even worse, because you could be born at Hershey Medical Center and get screened for Krabbe and the other disorders, but nowhere else in Pennsylvania would you be screened for those. 3 weeks after Tori passed away, I found out that there was a Pennsylvania Newborn Screening Advisory Board meeting, and I went. The chair at the time of the Newborn Screening Advisory Board went off on this rant about how it was such a waste of time to screen for Krabbe disease, not knowing who I was, why I was there, or how short of a time period it had been since my daughter died from Krabbe disease. But I talked to them about what I knew about the treatments at the time and how I've seen the difference between untreated and treated children with Krabbe disease, and basically told them that they were wrong. There were so many kids that were not being properly diagnosed at birth. In our first 7 months of screening, we identified 4 babies with Krabbe disease. 2 of those babies were identical twins born on Tori's birthday. I don't know their names, I don't know anything else. I just know that that was such a redemptive moment. Because it's not a coincidence. We couldn't save her, but we can give those parents an opportunity to even try to save their child's life, because that's something that we were denied. That opportunity was taken away from us without our consent, and I am so grateful for those 3 sets of parents that now have options. We didn't have options. So it was all worth it. It was all worth every minute of those 5 years.
No one should ever have to go through what we went through. You know, we're not going to rest until this disease is either eradicated or everybody is being screened equally to give these kids a fighting chance at life.
My vision and what I work toward every day is a day in which every child, not only in the United States, but in the world, is screened for Krabbe disease and other treatable leukodystrophies so that they have early access to treatments, so that on diagnosis day, parents can receive the news, which will still be traumatic, but it will be trauma with hope. We had trauma with despair. And that's what every diagnosis currently is, with few exceptions right now, unless they're caught by newborn screening. We want parents to receive diagnosis with hope.